And welcome to day 3 of our Fall ELO-P Academy for all the folks that are watching this recording in the future. This is day 3. Today we'll be exploring how to leverage multiple funding streams to build quality expanded learning programs. And we'll be hearing from some amazing folks across the state on how they're doing amazing work by leveraging multiple funding streams. So we're currently doing our welcome, and then we'll dive into our workshop session. That'll happen for about 45 minutes. And then we'll do for an hour, and then we'll do closing comments. And then we'll have a field spotlight for promising practices in action. And then after that, we'll be having interactive breakout sessions. This is a little different. If you've joined our academies before, we usually do regional breakout rooms, but we're doing something different this round so that you have the opportunity to talk with folks on specific topics. And then at 12 p.m. on the dot, we will be closing the meeting room, so you don't have to come back to the main space after you're in your breakout sessions, and the day will be over. So now we're going to go through some guidelines or like some things to do before we get started. Of course, like when I'm here presenting, right, I forget how to talk. So we hold our workshops as shared learning spaces. So we've created a resource guide that we'll be dropping in the chat so that you can take notes and deepen your learning, since you can't copy and paste the chat due to security reasons. We really want to emphasize that presentation materials, including the recording and the slides, will be available within 48 hours after the workshop. So keep your eyes open for that. And make sure to access workshop recordings for day 1 and 2 by scanning this QR code or following this link. And if you haven't already registered for day 4, which is tomorrow, you can do so with that link as well. Also, make sure that you are registered for fall ELO-P office hours. Those are starting at the end of this month and will be going through the end of November. This is where you can get any in the weeds questions for ELO-P and get the latest information around ELO-P answered in live time. And if you just want to know more about us, if this is your first time joining a CAN workshop or learning about CAN, you can follow us on all of our social media profiles, and you can also scan this QR code to go to our link tree, where we try to put all of our most up-to-date information in one spot. And I don't know if you heard that, my cats decided to fight right now. But there is an entire system of support in expanded learning in California, and we're all here to support you. If you don't know who your contacts for your region are, you can scan this QR code, follow this link to find the folks that can support you in your specific region. And this is CAN's expanded learning pedagogical methodology. And I'll read it out to you. We believe every child, youth, and the adults that live, love, and work with them deserve just and affirming spaces and opportunities that enrich, empower, enlighten, educate, and elevate them. We know learning happens in every context, and young people are assets in supporting their own learning and co-creating the solutions to the issues and challenges they face. Expanded learning / OST spaces can be cultivated by anchoring in some core beliefs and shared mindsets. We are rooted in love, and love is shown in our actions and our words. We are asset anchored and driven. We are aspirational in our mindsets, words, and actions. We are connected by our differences because that is what gives us strength and creates our collective. The appreciation of every culture, language, and lived experience is what we leverage to grow and nurture our collective spaces. We make decisions based on elevating the intrinsic gifts, talents, and wisdom of those closest to the problems we work collaboratively to solve. And we learn by doing, and we grow by reflecting on that learning. All right, that is all the housekeeping. And now I'm going to pass it off to our first amazing speaker, Celia Cisneros, the Superintendent Secretary and Compliance Director at La Grande Elementary School District. Take it away, Celia.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really happy and excited to present today because I think we're doing really great things here at Lee Grand Elementary. We've been very fortunate enough that we hit the ground running. We were so excited to get additional funding and we can do more for our students. Next slide, please. So a little bit about myself. I've been working in expanded learning for over 12 years. And funny enough, in college, I actually was a sub at San Jose when I was going to college there. And I never thought, that I would go back into the field. But professionally after college, I've been doing this for about 12 years. I was a site lead with Merced County Office of Education initially, and then I became the coordinator here at Lee Grand Elementary back in 2014, where they wanted me to develop a new program. So I started from the ground up. Over the last 10 years, I have expanded my responsibilities across multiple roles, but expanded learning has always had my heart. And so I'm happy that I'm still a part of it here within my district. I have witnessed the change. I mean, these last 4 years have been great because of ELO-P. I'm very excited that the state has really put money into expanded learning, just because, we can do better things with our students. So ELO-P funding has definitely changed the game. And I'm just dedicated to improving student outcomes because, we want to see high quality programming make an impact on our students. And so just being a part of that, brings me a lot of fulfillment and joy. And I'm excited to contribute new efforts in expanded learning and how we can help districts really bring great things to our students. Next slide, please. So here at Lee Grand Elementary, our vision and core values, Lee Grand Union Elementary School District is a community of highly trained professionals committed to ensuring every scholar is adequately prepared for college and or career by providing engaging and relevant instruction in a safe and nurturing environment. And this is our vision and core values here at Lee Grand Elementary. So when we were building our expanded learning program, the vision doesn't change. It's the same. And so how do we do that with more time, in our expanded learning? And so safe and supportive environment, we go back to the quality standards. They're right there. Engaging, skill building, prepared for college and or career. So when I'm looking at our, expanded learning quality standards and our vision and core values, they're pretty similar. And so for us, it wasn't, too difficult to know that we needed to utilize this new funding as well as our ACES grant to provide more opportunities for our students. And so it wasn't really two different grants, two different funding sources. It was just like, now we have more money in this pot that we can utilize for our students. So from the beginning, our district had that vision. And so then now how do we add more services to what we are currently offering? And so I'll explain a little bit that in the next slide. So our approach is, I like to work with analogies. This is how my brain works. It's like, okay, so how do I explain this to somebody that doesn't understand expanded learning? Well, we have cake and we offer cake to everybody. Some people may not want cake, but we offer it anyways. And so that's our cake is our Viking Explorers program. We also took an opportunity to rebrand. And so we are now the Viking Explorers program. And this is the program that we offer to all students. So we have pretty high UPP, which is unduplicated pupil count, meaning we have high, free, and reduced students. And so we are, according to ELO-P expectations, we are expected to offer programming to all students. And so we do. We offer it to anybody that wants to go. And so that's the 5 days a week, 100 days a year, and it's open to all students. And before I move on, I do want to explain, we are a one school district. We are K-8, and we are small. We're a rural community in Merced County. And so we do not have access to too many resources out here. So we do have to utilize what we have on hand. And we've always had, if there's a need for care, we open it up to students. And so that's always been a standard here at our district. So even before ELO-P, we didn't just offer programming to 100 students. If more students wanted to participate, then we opened that up. And the district has always been very supportive of that. And so that's our cake. Our cake is the everybody is open to get a piece of cake. The next offering or option that we have is icing, which is our Discovery Academy. This are 6-week workshops in a variety of skill-based opportunities. So we thought we want kids to want to stay. What kinds of things do kids want to do? What do they want to learn? Well, some of them like sports. So we offer opportunities for them to do sports. Some of them are artistic. They may want, performing art, visual arts. We wanted to make sure that we captured interests of the students. And so we always do ask our students what kinds of things you'd like to see, but who's going to be teaching these classes, right? Because we have our program that runs 5 days a week. Well, we utilize what we have on campus because we don't always have an opportunity to bring vendors here or in our community. So there's a lot of staff on campus that have talents or they have hobbies. They like to do things. They enjoy doing those things. And so we also are always struggling for space, but if we utilize teachers and classified staff, then there's spaces that they already utilize that we can use to offer sewing, to offer yoga, to offer pickleball. And so that's what we started looking at is what do we have available to us that we can use? And that's what our icing is. It's our Discovery Academy. It's an opportunity for students to discover talents or interests that they may not know that they had. And so icing is also offered to anybody that wants it. Some people just like to get a spoonful of icing, and hey, if that's for you, great. So we offer icing to everybody that wants to participate. Then we have the next level of opportunities, which are sprinkles. And sprinkles are our intercession camp. So we all know with ELO-P, we have to have 30 days outside of school days. So we offer intercession camps where it's during breaks. That could be winter break, that could be spring break, that could be our President's Week that we also have off. And we make sure that we meet the 30 days. Summer camp too. We have about 15 days during the summer that we also offer summer camps. And we also offer Saturday field trips. And again, this is open to anybody that wants to participate. You can have sprinkles, you can have icing, you can have cake, you can have sprinkles. Whatever fits your needs, that's what it's there for. And so we want to make sure that we allow kids and their parents, if there's care that they need during break, then hey, send them to the camps. What if it's a Saturday trip to the Exploratorium and they've never been and they want to do that? Then we offer that. Our intent behind all of this is getting our kids to be exposed to as much opportunities as possible. And we're just happy to be part of that journey. If we can provide that, then we're very, very excited to be able to do that. And so this is sort of our approach. Our analogy is, there's just opportunities and, anybody that like to take advantage of them. And I was working on my report and we noticed that out of 330 students that we had enrolled last year, 260 participated in one or more opportunities that we offered. And that just gives us a lot of joy. And moving forward, we're going to say, well, let's get more kids to participate. Let's have more students have those opportunities that they may otherwise not would have had. So next slide. So this is just a little snapshot of what our current Discovery Academy is offering. And this was our 1-week schedule. So if you look at Mondays and Wednesdays, we offer the same things. We try to do 2 days a week of each workshop. And again, these are 6-week workshops. Our Viking Explorers program operates every day up until 6 p.m. And then this is something that gets sent out to our parents. And so if they have a student participating in any of these workshops, they're in the know. And we have Parent Square, which is how we communicate with our families. We have mosaics, we have cake decorating, we have string art, we have guitar, we have cross stitch, we have pickleball, we have origami, and we have piano. The fact that we are helping kids learn piano here at school, and we haven't had a band in a really long time, even though we're junior high as well. So we are excited about that. Kids are learning how to skills that they may take on, like cross stitch, or origami, or string art, or maybe they're going to want to, be a baker and learn how to decorate cakes here at Lee Grand Elementary. So this is just a small little snapshot of what we have offered so far, but we've had lots. Last year we had yoga, we had drone racing, we try to capture everything you can think of. So we're this is a highlight of our district. I feel like our kids come to school because they want to participate in these activities, and just being a part of that. I can't stress how excited I am, that I get to be involved in this. Next slide. So creating one comprehensive program might feel very intimidating. A lot of school districts are struggling, because they may have had something in the past, or maybe they have outside vendors providing that service. And now that they're receiving this funding, it could feel like, well, where are we going to house all of this? Where are we going to do all of this? How are we going to get staff? How is this all going to work? So an important thing to consider is your planning. I think this is really, really, if not the most important, pretty important, because sometimes districts are scrambling and they're just trying to get programming, started, and they don't really focus too much on that planning part. So they're not building that foundation. So if you look at the titles, it's plan, do, assess. Those are coming straight from the quality standards, that expanded learning quality standards. And so this is, pretty crucial in getting something sustainable, getting something that is high quality. So when you're thinking about planning, is creating a vision. What do you want your program to do? Do you want it to be a safe place for kids to go? Do you want them to, what is your main focus? You want kids to learn skills that they can take on in their future. So creating that vision, I think it really important, because then it's your driver. It's like, always ask, is this what's best for kids? Is this what our vision from the beginning? And this is also a great opportunity to rebrand. For some existing programs that are not utilizing ELO-P funding, is rebranding. What is going to be your program structure? Those are the questions that you need to ask yourself. What are your needs? Do you have a high waiting list that you really need to tackle? Do you need, more professional development for those staffs, because teachers don't want to, lend their classrooms because the staff isn't properly trained and they're not taking care of the, equipment, and there's no behavior management. And so thinking about, what is your vision? What are your needs? What are your highest needs as a district, looking at school sites individually, that might look different. Each school might have different needs. And so that's one of the, really important things that you need to consider, is looking at your district as a whole, and then individually in your school sites. What does school site A need? What does school site B need? And then tailoring that. And then I saw a question. This is what process or strategies, and an assessment. There's assessments that are available, on the expanded learning website, that you can utilize to help determine what are your needs. And then analyze your data. Once you do your assessment, and there's also vendors out there, I believe, that come in and can do an assessment, but you can do an internal one as well. Gather your team. Who is your team? Have you built your team? Because it does take a team to get all of this under works. And then looking at your data, analyzing it, and then what are your community needs? And you might have a long laundry list of what the needs are. You're not going to be able to tackle all of those. You have to prioritize. That's one big thing that you will have to do is prioritizing what those top needs will be. And then setting your clear goals for your district. Okay, we're going to work on A, B, and C, and this is the time frame, and this is, how we're going to be able to measure whether we've improved or not. Let's say one of the goals is to be fully staffed. Okay. So what are the steps to doing that? Because it's not just, oh, I want this. You have to have clear steps in order to be able to reach that. And so once you set those clear goals, again, identify those, and then you actually begin doing. You've been constructing your program, you improve improving your program. So for example, if you already have something in place, how do you want to improve? How do you want to take it to that next level? It could mean curriculum development. It could be staffing. It could be training, partnerships, budgeting, funding. There's a lot of things that you will decide as a district what your focus is on. You can't work on everything all at once because then you're setting yourself up, to fail. It can become very overwhelming. So identifying just a couple areas that you want to work on and improve, and establishing that, strong foundation, and then continuing to grow and improve. And then the next step is obviously to assess, how are we doing? Did we improve, more staffing? Did we hire more staffing? Okay, we've got that, going. And always wanting to continuously improve. Once we've got the staff going, that's not the end of it, right? How do you continue to grow and improve? Well, now that we've got the staffing underway, maybe now we can focus on professional development. And then what does that look like? And what are the steps that you need to take in order to do that? And sustainability, continuing that momentum. Don't stop at just improving one area. Say, we want to build a strong program and we're going to continue to work. I've been here in my district for 10 years and I've never stopped wanting to improve. Things change. I mean, the fact that ELO-P came about was a huge change. And so then now that we had more money, we were able to offer more opportunities. And to me, it's like every year at the end of the year, it's what went well and what do we need to work on? And, you should have some sort of process of assessing how things are going, and not just from your perspective, but who are your program participants, your students? How do they like the program? Do they like the changes we made? Do they like that now they have a safe place to stay and that the staff is better trained and can offer, more engaging opportunities, more skill building opportunities? What about the parents? I'm just happy that I got off the waiting list and now my kid gets to come. And the fact that they don't want me to pick them up early, that's great. That means that they're having a good time. And that brings me a lot of happiness. So indirect feedback, formal feedback, you can send questionnaires home. You can just ask the students. The students are pretty open. They tell you, I didn't like the food that they offered yesterday. All right. How can we improve our, food? Well, they didn't like that we spend, only 20 minutes on PE. Okay, well, it's opportunities for them to do more physical activity. What about our Discovery Academy? Some of the, data where how many kids signed up for cake decorating versus how many kids signed up for pickleball. All right, well, we see that cake decorating is, a popular one. Let's bring it back again, another 6 weeks. So data collection is also important because it helps us get an idea of how we're doing. And so that's not also that's another way that you can, plan again. Okay, next year, let's plan. What else are we going to offer? And so it's this continuous cycle of, circle of plan, do, assess, again, plan, do, assess. And that's how you continue to grow and improve your program. Next slide, please. So me, as well as a few other people, started to see that a lot of districts were struggling. And so we developed, a consortium because we noticed that there was a need. We wanted districts to be able to come together in person, in one room, to collaborate, to share what's working for them and what's an area that they struggle with, and just share promising practices. A group of us Superintendent Scott Borba here at Lee Grand Elementary, expanded learning consultant Saeed Lara, and me, Celia Cisneros. We thought, how can we help the field? How can we lend our expertise? How can we provide an opportunity for districts to come together and collaborate and share and help guide them, what we know and share it. And so we developed this consortium. It's called Central Valley Expanded Learning Consortium. It's a 3-year program model where we have 3 convenings throughout the year. And in our first year, calibration. What's your current reality? Dream big. What do you want to see for your expanded learning program? And setting some goals. And then in year 2, construction. Put those plans into action. Let's develop systems that help you run quality programming. And what are your resources that you have available to you? Utilizing those. Other districts, vendors, outside consultants, what are ways that we can help you really construct a high quality program? And in the last year, collaboration, internal and external partnerships, whether you go out to other districts, assessing and improving your program. And so we have a few districts within our county that have already joined. We're very excited to help them along their journey, but we invite others that would like to participate in this consortium. There is a small cost to run this consortium because obviously we have to, have a lot of resources available. But we are inviting anybody that would like to join. If you need additional information, I will also be discussing this a little bit further in my breakout room. But I think this was just, there's a lot of hope that more and more districts are looking to just taking advantage of this golden opportunity to offer, as many opportunities as they can to their students. Because down the line, that student might be using that sewing skill that they learned at your school to, work on costumes at a play. Or, they could be making costumes, Halloween costumes for their kids, or that painting class that they took has helped them with their mental health. We can be a small part of their future. And so for me, it's exciting to know that, maybe those things that we offered, because school day is filled with expectations and standards that they have to meet. And so we have this opportunity after hours to bring in all that extra, all the fun stuff, we call it, all the things that kids, look forward to every single day. We get students, I offered yoga last year, and I had students come up to me when they saw me, when do we get to do yoga again after our 6 weeks are over? And that brings a lot of joy and fulfillment. And we want that. We want kids to be excited to come to school and look forward to the end of the day when they get to do all those skill building activities, engaging activities, things that they have fun. Pottery, I mean, we have pottery wheels and we have a kiln, and kids get to take home these projects and they're so happy and excited. And so being a part of that has been just amazing. So thank you so much for the opportunity to present what our little school district is doing. And we hope that you have gathered some information, anything that you can take from this and take to your district. Nicole, take it away.
Let me go ahead and unmute myself. That would be helpful. Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to be here today with you all. We can go ahead and go to the next slide, do a little introduction. So a little bit about me. So first and foremost, expanded learning is my jam. I have been doing this work since 2008. I've had experience with 2 nonprofit organizations, really boots on the ground. I have lived the life of a program leader. I was an enrichment specialist at one point, also a site coordinator at both the elementary and the middle school levels. Within one of those nonprofits, I also had experience with day camp director as well as a resident camp director. And now currently with ABC Unified School District as one of 2 expanded learning coordinators for our ABC Excels program. Next slide, please. So I always like to remember where I came from. So my love language is fun. And so I always did the work with a sprinkle of fun on everything, or throwing a little bit of glitter on everything that I did for the programs that I ran. Next slide, please. And then now, as we can see, not much has changed. I lead with fun. So in the role that I have, again, the work that we do, it's not easy work, but I do love an opportunity to throw some fun into it when I can. Next slide. So I'm not sure if you all knew what you were in store, what was in store for you today. So we're going to get moving this morning. So if you have never completed a 5K, so that's 3.1 miles, well, get ready, get your shoelaces, grab some water, because we're going to go on a little bit of a 3.1 mile ABC Excels course here. Okay. But I want you to have confidence to know that you have the tools to get started and to be successful. It was already spoken about the quality standards for expanded learning, right? So throughout our 5K journey, you will see how our quality standards are thread into everything that we do in this work. So a little bit of an overview. So first and foremost, clear vision, mission, and purpose. It was spoken a little bit about earlier on. So rebranding your program, we'll touch base on that at one of our miles. Secondly, continuous quality improvement and quality staff, or as we like to say, a program designed with youth and functionality in mind. And then number 3, youth voice and leadership, skill building, and active and engaged learning. And for this is the enrichment part. This is a flavor for every taste bud. Next slide. So some things to consider as you toe the starting line of our braided funding 5K adventure. First and foremost, understanding where you're starting right now, right? Everyone's starting at a different point, and that's okay. But just know where you're starting so we can know where we need to start and where we're going to go. ELO-P is a game changer. This has completely changed the game, right? The way we feel about it is it really sparked the dawn of a new era, and we'll get into that in a minute. And then lastly, again, with those quality standards, I cannot echo that enough. Really, they're woven into every aspect of our program. Next slide. All right, so we're going to take a little bit of a step back in that rear view mirror. Take it a little bit of look in the rear view mirror with after school education and safety. So for ACES. So here in ABC, we had the ACES grant for several years. So in getting this work started, this was our starting point. So I'm going to just kind of give you a brief overview of what that looked like here in ABC. Next slide. So for ACES, we had 11 ACES sites. 9 of those 11 were elementary schools. 2 of those were middle schools. We did serve approximately 1,100 students from year to year. It primarily was available at our most of our Title I schools. There was limitations to that funding, right? We had to get really creative with how we were utilizing it and how we're making the magic happen in our programs. And a lot of that outside of the box thinking, which we still are using today as well. But there was a lot of that was happening when it was just the Prop 49 era, right? Next slide. Here in ABC, we did not have ACES supplemental, so we never, prior to ELO-P, had summer programming. So that was new for us with ELO-P. We also didn't have any before school funding either. It was just strictly after school programming. And then we did here in ABC have a fee-based model. So for our non-ACES sites, there was programming available, but it was at a fee for those families. I like to think about this era as the paper party. Everything was paper registration, sign in and sign out sheets, paper documentation, just a lot of paper was happening for us in the ACES era. And then primarily the programming operated out of the multi-purpose room. There was a lot of MPR action happening, some other classrooms here and there utilizing the outside when we could, but there was a lot of programming happening in the MPR. Next slide. All right, y'all. So we're going to get ready to have this braiding adventure. It's going to get started right now with ELO-P and ACES. Next slide. So how we went about to building one comprehensive program. So if you look at the diagram on the left, so I like to think about that as like, it's a little jar for our secret sauce ingredients here, right? So there was 3 ingredients. We had our ACES funding, right? ELO-P, that was more of, that added a little spice to it, right? It added that little tasty zest to it. And then we had our fee-based program, which was called Extended Day. So we put all those ingredients in a bowl, mixed that up, and we got a really tasty secret sauce, or not so secret sauce, which is known as ABC XLs today. And our goal with putting all of the funding and creating the secret sauce is that all of our students across the districts will experience the same type of expanded learning experience, regardless of what that funding looks like on the back end. So whether they're ACES, ELO-P, or some of them that are the fee-based, that they're paid for by the fee-based program, their experience isn't any different, right? It's only the behind the scenes that we deal with that part, but the experience that they have is the same. And then the only difference for us is in terms of staffing is that we do partner with different expanding learning providers, as well as we do have ABC district personnel as well. So the only really difference from site to site is the staff that run the day-to-day operations. And again, it's a mixture of our CBOs as well as our district staff. Next slide. And just a visual to how the braided funding looks like again for us, just to give you something to look at. Again, the ELO-P funds is that yellow piece, which is the majority of our funds. So that's kind of that bottom piece there, if you think of it like a pyramid. And then family fees and ACES are pretty similar in terms of the amount that, that we have for that. So just wanted to give you just a visual look of what the braided funding looks like with our 3 funding streams, ELO-P, family fees, and ACES. Next slide. And then again, in building one comprehensive program, for us, ACES laid the groundwork. We already had that foundation built, and we just saw ELO-P as an awesome opportunity to really dream big and achieve more. There was so much more that we can do with all of this funding, and it was really exciting. It was just, again, an additional funding source to elevate our programs. And again, I mentioned, we think about, like, we just like to think about food. Who doesn't like food, right? So it is our little secret sauce, or not so secret because the secret's out, right? About how we can add the perfect flavors to meet the needs of our students. Next slide. So again, I'm going to echo this. It'll be like a broken record. What's going to be great about this 5K adventure is that we do have our GPS unit, which is our quality standards for expanded learning. So this will be the guide to make sure that we are kept on track throughout the whole course. Next slide. All right, so mile 1. So mile 1 in any race, if you've never ran a race, I used to be such an avid marathon runner. That was my jam. And I was just recently inspired because I did do the Disneyland half marathon a couple weeks ago. So to me, this was the perfect analogy for me in the moment in this presentation today. So mile 1, everybody feels good at mile 1. You're getting started, you're fresh, you're ready to go. So mile 1 is, next slide. We call this the glow up. So this is the glow up. So clear vision, mission, and purpose. So this is, i.e., that rebranding that was mentioned earlier. So this is an exciting opportunity to glow up or give your program a makeover. Again, I think about with ELO-P funding, it's the birth of a new era. So we're not just in the ACES era anymore. It's now a new era with ELO-P because it's the game changer. In terms of this rebranding phase, we want to make sure that we are getting our input from our educational partners. So we did put out a lot of surveys. So we wanted to hear, what do our people want? What do they need? What do our kiddos want? We did conduct empathy interviews as well. So that was important data as we tried to think about what's the new face of our program. And we were excited to get into this work. And then the last important thing here for us was creating a shared vision and goals. And I just put an example of our tagline, providing students with time and space to thrive. Next slide. So again, time for a change with that rebranding. So you'll see on the left, this was our ACES program. It was known as Extra, the Extra program. We had a lot of fun with it being called Extra. We're so extra. And it was expanded time to raise achievement. And some of the feedback we got on our little logo with our cute little friends from our secondary kiddos was just like, this doesn't represent us. This is just for kids. This is not for us. So we got brighter, we got bolder, we got better. And so just creating a logo that just was a little bit of something for everyone. So as we move forward, we went from Extra to ABC EXLs. Next slide. And the most important piece for us as our own GPS unit, as we ground ourselves in this work, is our vision statement. So again, this opportunity to really think, getting that feedback, what do we want this new program to be? Because again, ACES is in the rearview mirror. So now we have this opportunity to start again, right? So we really took a lot of time in this vision statement, talking to our educational partners, getting feedback, because we really wanted this to be something that represented our program. We wanted this to be something that this is what we aim to do here in ABC EXLs. So our vision statement reads, engage students in meaningful learning and enrichment, have students explore their passions and interests, connect students to each other and to their school and community, empower students to share their voice and lead so that they can succeed in all areas of their educational experience. Next slide, please. All right, so that was mile one, the glow up. Again, that rebranding, okay? So mile two. So here's where I want you to grab some water, hydrate, because mile two is a little bit of a hill, So, but we're gonna do this together, so don't worry, everybody, okay? So mile two, quality is our superpower. So this, in terms of quality standards, continuous quality improvement. So this is the meat and potatoes, again, talking about food. Again, who's hungry and wants to eat with me right now, right? So the meat and potatoes is the CQI piece of this, right? Data is our friend. It helps us make those informed decisions. Under that umbrella, site-specific quality improvement plans. So for each of our sites, it's not a one-size-fits-all. So each of our now 24 schools has a site-specific plan. So it's not a plan that the district, here's your plan for your sites. No, we meet with all of our key stakeholders and developing those site-specific plans based on the quality standards that we're focusing on in a given school year. Because every school community is different. Even though we're in one district, it looks different from site to site and there's different needs. So we really try to address those needs. And then what was great, again, in this new era, right, is that we utilize ELO-P funds to service TK through 8th grade. So again, we poured our love into our secondary programs. Currently now at this moment, serving just shy of 4,000 students from TK through 8th grade, which we're very excited about, and our program continues to grow literally from week to week. Next slide, please. So right now we have 24 schools, 19 of those are elementary, where previous, and I just noted there, 11 of those were ACES in total, and now 19 elementary. Previously for our middle schools, we had only 2 that had the ACES funding, but we had 5 middle schools. So now all 5 have funding or have program opportunities, which is amazing. And that was the feedback that we got from those particular sites, was that, oh wait, what about our middle schools? What about our middle schools? So gradually over the last couple of years, we've added those middle schools. So now we service every elementary and middle school site in ABC's Unified School District. And then again, we modeled, I think we got to go back. Yeah, there we go. And then we modeled, again, just reiterating, we modeled our programming after ACES. So we do stand on the most stringent requirements in terms of that one comprehensive program. Again, the program doesn't look different from site to site, again, regardless of the funding sources. So program handbook, program policies, procedures, documentation look the same across the board. Okay, next slide. And then again, furthermore, with quality staff and safe and supportive environments. So another amazing opportunity with ELO-P was in terms of that quality staff piece. So giving our students what they need to be successful. So we do have a dedicated mental health professional for our ABC EXLs program. We have a dedicated behavior specialist that's helping to support PBIS and MTSS, our Tier 1 universal supports across our program sites. Dedicated program specialist that's helping monitoring the program. Next slide. And then again, collaborative partnerships, another piece under this umbrella. Just a lot of collaboration with district departments and school sites. So an example, after school snack program, so available at all of our school sites, elementary and middle school, partnering with our nutrition services department. There is availability for some of those sites to have reimbursable snacks, which is awesome. Also with special education. So just really being inclusive of all of our students. that is the work that we're doing with special education, getting paraprofessionals where they're needed for our kiddos. 504, we do create 504 plans for expanded learning. So any of our kids after school, whatever those needs are, because sometimes they tend to be different. So we take that time to work with special education to ensure we're getting those plans for our kiddos and getting them the supports they need during the time that they're with us. And then also just noted their district nurses as well. We do have on-site tutoring programs available also across elementary and middle school as well for our students. Learning locations, so the space piece, right? So again, I mentioned earlier on that we primarily operated out of the MPR when it was in the ACES area with a couple of classrooms that we used, but primarily it was MPR action. Now with ELO-P, we call them learning locations. And so that could be, for the most part, it's classrooms. Sometimes it's a multi-purpose room or just other spaces available on campus. So we are sharing those classrooms with the teachers to ensure that we have a conducive learning environment and make sure that we have the right spaces for each of our cohorts of either the 1 to 10 for our TKK or 1 to 20 for our 1st through 8th grade. And then collaborations with expanded learning providers. So we do, I mentioned earlier, we do work, there's 2 of them that we work with. And then we also have our district staff. So just making sure that we're being successful in terms of that staffing piece to make sure that we are in ratio as required by ELO-P. Something new, again, I mentioned that it was a paper world that we were living in. So what was great for us as we kind of got into the 21st century was we got an online, program management system. It's called Transact. So we're able to do registrations. It's another student database for us. We do have electronic sign in and out. And this just, for us, is exciting just because we lived in paper for so long. So this was just like, yes, we get to really enhance our program that way and kind of move forward with technology, which was exciting. And then something new that I wanted to note. So in our district quite recently, just at the end of summer, actually, we had some restructuring in our district office. So our ABCXLs, which is under child development, was under a previous department as well. There was 2 departments that were together. So there was some restructuring recently. So now ABCXLs is under our elementary curriculum department, which we think is amazing because that's going to help strengthen the alignment with the school day. And this year I'm calling it the year of our TKKs. And so we're excited for that support with our expanding learning educators to really strengthen that piece of our program. And then another piece that I would like to know is cost share agreement. So this year, new to this year, and there was a lot of discussion on the back end of last year for this to be put in place this year, is assistant principals at our schools. So there's been a shift and kind of it looks a little bit different. So assistant principals now are on site until 6 o'clock. So they do start their day later and they support the school day during a portion. And then when it's expanded learning time, they're supporting us and they're on site. And so a lot of programs have had site liaisons. So essentially the assistant principals have become our site liaison. And so that's something really exciting for us as we have an admin that's physically there on each of the sites. So that's really exciting for us for this particular school year. Also, professional learning is another piece for our expanded learning educators, just the district support that we're giving, as well as CBOs that are doing that work as well. And then lastly, on the horizon, in terms of, again, how can we utilize these funds to support our kiddos, to support our scholars? Well, we're looking into possibly using that to pour more love, but into our preschool programs, because we've identified that as our ABC families have identified that as a need. Currently, that program operates from 8:30 to 11:30. But we hope to align more with ABCXLs because that's what our people want. And so we're trying to give them what they need and be creative and really utilize this funding again to support all of our learners, even our youngest learners. Next slide, please. All right, so that was mile 2. I know that was a lot. Grab some more water if you need to, but that, again, the meat and potatoes, that's the bulk of the work. So mile 3, right? So if you've ever done a race, doesn't matter how long or short, mile 3, in this particular case, we're like approaching that finish line. So this is like that final stretch, mile 3. So we want to enjoy this last part of this race and get to that finish line. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is our favorite. This is sort of the fruits of our labor, right? So mile 3 is called enrichment is the heart of our program, right? And so this is really in terms of quality standards where youth voice and leadership, skill building, active engage and learning. This is where we thread those pieces in. Student feedback is essential. I mentioned earlier that we design our program with youth in mind. It really is their program. We're like, what do you want your program? When we're trying, our job is to make it happen, right? We want to make sure that there's something for everybody. A suggestion here, team up to triumph, partner with a variety of enrichment vendors, which is something that I personally get really excited about because that is the bulk of the work that I do. I love meeting and connecting and seeing, this is what the students ask for. Let's see if we can meet that need. And so currently, I'll just list here some of the partnerships that we have. So Action Youth America, which is one of our expanded learning providers. Advantage Communications, which is a speech and debate vendor, which there's a good pocket of our district that those kiddos are excited for that and they love it and they're here for it. We do have our coding piece, so Code Rev Kids, and so we have they're called creator bots that we did launch last school year and we're continuing into this school year. Also a partnership with Fork Farms, and so that indoor gardening, which has been very exciting for us. We have some sites that have both an outdoor gardening opportunity as well as an indoor gardening opportunity, and the kids are excited to see, wow, you can grow plants inside in this really cool machine. So that's something that the kids are really liking. Girl Scouts of Greater Los Angeles as well. Again, that's a flavor for some of our kids that they like a taste of that. Lego Education is another vendor that we partnered with starting last school year. Next slide, please. New for this school year is Learning is a Fun Time, or Lift Enrichment, which is a cooking program for kids. During our summer program, we really utilized Mad Science and the kids were really loving that opportunity. Right here in our backyard, we happen to have one of the choreographers who used to be on So You Think You Can Dance. He was the Bollywood choreographer. So we do partner with him and they provide just that cultural diverse experience for our kids. And they're doing some Bollywood dance and having some fun with that, expanding horizons. Scholastics Education is another one. Scouting America new, so we wanted to kind of balance out Girl Scouts with now just Scouts. And so just giving just those different opportunities for the kiddos. Scratch DJ Academy of Los Angeles. And so our kiddos are learning how to, do the DJ thing. And that's actually one of our very popular enrichment activities. Scholastics is also going to be new for this year, just another opportunity for structured outside play and games for the students. More so at our middle school level, there's a lot of sports tournaments that happen. We do have cheerleading, which is very popular, flag football, soccer. There's a March Madness basketball tournament. And then lastly, our other partner currently for our expanded learning providers is the YMCA of Greater Long Beach, who also help enhance our program. Okay, everybody. So that was the 3 miles, but if you've ever done a 5K, it's 3.1. So this is the 0.1 of the race. So when you see that finish line, it is in sight, everybody. And honestly, as you're taking it all in, I just wanted to provide a few slides of just some of the pictures, right? This is the fruits of our labor. This is our kids having a good time, engage in these activities that are really expanding their horizons. It's for a lot of them, it's the reason why they want to come to school. It's the reason why they say, Mom, why did you pick me up? I wanted to stay. Could you just come back later and leave me here? And that's the best compliment that we can hear at our sites, to hear that the kids are not trying to leave because they want to stay and do these activities. So I'm just going to just kind of click through these slides and just let you take it all in and enjoy. I will stop talking for a couple minutes. All right, so Just in review, so what I want you all to just take away from this is every mile matters. And so I love analogies too. So this happened to be mine for today, again, inspired by the race that I just recently did. So again, just in review, mile one, the glow up. Take it as an opportunity, an exciting opportunity to rebrand, give it a makeover, give it a facelift, get that data to understand what you want that to look like based on what the people want, right? Number two, quality is our superpower. So remember, that was our little bit of an uphill mile. There's a lot happening there. That's the meat and potatoes. A lot of the work is done there. And again, mile three, that you're taking it all in. It's the exciting part of the race. You're almost done. It's the enrichment. It's the fruits of your labor, right? You made it. And for us, it's seeing all of our students excited about the program because of ELO-P. So congratulations, you just finished the ABCXL's 5K walk, run, or trot. That's my joke to say, like you could trot as well. Walk, run, or trot, there's an opportunity, however you need to get through each of the miles. But congratulations, because y'all did it with me. I don't know, it was kind of fast, but we did it. And then just final thoughts. So just like a 5K race, every step counts. Each mile is critical to reach the finish line. There's no skipping or shortening of the course if you want to earn that medal, because most of these races have a fancy medal at the end, right? And for us, the medal is really seeing the kids excited. That's the medal, right? So by braiding our funding, we've built a program that ensures all students have the support they need. And just like in continuous quality improvement, we keep pushing ourselves to go farther and be better, always looking for new ways to reach that finish line together. Thank you so much for the opportunity to connect with you all today. And I'll pass it along to the next presenter.
Wow. All right. Well, I just want to pause here and say thank you to our opening facilitator. So shout out to Nat Rosales from the CAN team for opening our space. Thank you to Celia Cisneros from La Grande Elementary School District for taking us through eating some cake and how cake can be used to support students and families in their community, and cake being all of the wonderful programming opportunities that are available. And shout out to Nicole Theus from ABC Unified School District. What an amazing opportunity to walk through what your program used to be, right? Like the ACES program, setting that foundation for developing a higher quality expanded learning opportunities program. So thank you both for just your time and sharing all of those promising practices and how to get started with our participants for today. We're not done. We have one more presenter today who will be sharing a field spotlight. So if you remember and you attended our Academy workshops last week, we mentioned that we added this new element to our ELO-P academies, and it is called field spotlights. And it's those leaders throughout the field who are doing amazing things and are able to share with us some of their promising practices and actions. So I am honored to introduce you all to Esmeralda Garcia, who is a director of expanded learning in the Calexico Unified School District. And I'll go ahead and pass it on to you. Thank you, Esmeralda.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Again, I'm Esmeralda Garcia. I'm the Director of Expanded Learning for Calexico Unified School District. A little bit about me. I've been in education for 11 years. 10 of those years I spent in expanded learning. And I was a school counselor at the beginning of my career, and I quickly wanted a way to connect with kids. And when my school site was looking for a site coordinator, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But I just kind of thought, you know what, I'm going to get to know kids. I'm going to get to know parents. And so I jumped in feet first, and I loved it. I fell in love with being here after school. despite the long hours and having a baby at home at the time, it was a real genuine way that I found that as a school counselor, I got to know my kids better. And so I fell in love with expanded learning 10 years ago, and I am super grateful for that because I think it took my career to a place that I didn't know it was heading. So fast forward, 10 years, and now I'm in my 5th year as a school administrator. I'm a district administrator now, and I oversee the expanded learning programs here at Calexico Unified. Some years ago, when I was working within the site, we rebranded. So I'm very familiar with rebranding. We rebranded our programs because at the time, the administrator overseeing the programs really had this vision for why do we call ourselves ACEs when we already had multiple funding sources. And so at that time we became Sparks. So in Calexico Unified, our TK through 12th grade expanded learning programs are called Sparks. And so now I'll take you through a journey of what Sparks looks like on the ground. So for Sparks, like I mentioned, we do have multiple funding sources. We had an ACES grant. We still do. We have a 21st century grant at one of our junior highs. We also have our asset grants for our high school and continuation high school. And these were in place and have been in place for many years now. And it really was the catapult of starting expanded learning programs in Calexico. I know I've spoken to older administrators here in the district, and they remember when it was the 21st century grant way back in the day. And so it just really set the stage for expanded learning in Calexico. And then we had COVID, and all of the COVID monies that we saw with ESSER and ELO-P, it really gave us the opportunity to take what we already had and build our dream program. So we knew we had great programs, but then we said, wow, everything we wanted to do that we couldn't do because we had a limited amount of funding and we had to prioritize enrollment. Now the world is our oyster. And is where all this funding and really learning how to braid it was something that was tasked for me. And so as we've moved forward and we built this great inclusive program at Calexico, recent as last year, I applied for the ESSER renewal grant, the summer program renewal. And my superintendent asked me, Ms. Garcia, do you really think that we need this money? I mean, we have ELO-P and we have ACEs and assets and all the other grants that we have on board. And I remember having a conversation with him and saying, Mr. Jimenez, we do, because I've been in expanded learning when there was no money. And I know some grants are dependent on what grants you've applied for before or what fundings you have before. And I wanted to make sure that sustainability piece, I wanted to make sure that if ELO-P is reduced, if we ever get to the point where there is no more ELO-P, that we have other sources or we're leaning on other grants to really continue to drive the programs forward because they're making such a difference in my community. The other department that we're working really closely with is the community schools grant. The community schools grant was awarded to us for the first part, the planning grant, in the 22-23 school year. And in the 23-24 school year, we applied and got the implementation grant. And so working with each other really helps us integrate all of our resources for our families. And we're looking at it as a whole child. But what it's really helped us do is expand the forces that are driving the work forward. So if we can go to the next slide. With the multiple funding sources and braiding these fundings, we're able to expand our department. When I first started working in expanded learning, it was a one-man show. And I don't remember how we made it happen, but we did. I would jokingly tell people this is where the magic happened, because that's what it felt like. It just felt like we just kept going. It didn't matter. We put in long hours, on the weekend, at night, and we just made it happen. But this expanded funding has really allowed our department to grow. And so initially, I was the coordinator. I now am the director over the department. I was able to add Erica Hermosillo. She is a fellow educator. She was a teacher. She was an English teacher and focused primarily on ELs. And so now, with her and I being partners, um, we're able to drive not only our programs forward, but we're able to drive forward that intervention piece and really focus on how we're supporting our students academically in the expanded program. And so along with her, we work with the director of community schools, Ms. Alejandra Limon, constantly, collaborating, making sure that we are presenting a united front. And we also work with our principals so that we are all working together. So we are not, dividing up into silos, and what's good for one student is good for all students. And that brought us to our program managers. So in the past, there was only the coordinator that oversaw 11 sites. And so with adding the program managers, those are classified positions, but they really help us calibrate and gauge our implementation at the school sites. So they're our first line of defense. They're the ones visiting schools every day to make sure that they are, taking a temperature gauge of what's going on, what needs our attention, what needs maybe more professional development, or revisiting, strategies, things like that. And so we are super grateful that now we have a team with us to help us drive the work forward. Next slide. So we have a TK through 12th grade comprehensive program. We offer academic, enrichment, physical activity every single day. But really what the funds have allowed us to do is develop internally some great programs. All of our tutors are provided multiple professional development opportunities a month. Some required, some are optional, but the way that we see it is we have to develop our staff the way that we want to develop our programs. And so it's really allowed us to develop an intramural sports program for our elementary schools. We have a student apprenticeship program, which I'll talk a little bit more about in just a bit. We've even ventured into credit recovery in high school, and that has been a huge success. We offer swimming lessons. We offer esports. But it all comes back to offering our own staff the professional development they need to implement on the ground the enrichment and the academic interventions that we plan for the students. Because at the end of the day, we want to expose our students in Calexico to more diverse enrichments. We want to provide them the supports they need academically to grow. And on the screen, you see some pictures from around our program, but I want to speak a little bit more on our littles and then our high school program. So next slide. And I heard this mentioned earlier, preschool. So we, for the last 2 years, have ventured into preschool PKs. These little guys are so cute and so amazing. But we really also saw a need in the community for our PK students. And even though it's not in the grant requirements, we just figured it's a need and we want to help. So what we do is during our summer intercession, we have a PK group. What this allows is that the PKs get familiar with our programs, and when they come in the fall as TKers, they're ready to start our program. And so our summer program will range from PK to kinder for our littles. We take everything we do for all of our other grades, we just do it at their age appropriate level. Their academic intervention is specifically guided towards their level, learning sounds, sight words, what's going to help them be successful in that first year of TK or kinder. And then we also incorporate some of the physical activity, and we find ways to give them everything else. For example, we cannot transport them because our district does not transport littles, so they don't get to go to the high school pool with us. So instead, we buy blow up pools, and we have a pool day at the school site for them. And so we just find ways to adapt what we're doing for all the other grades and make them feel included in the program. We do focus on academic. We partner with teachers. So we always have not only our own staff and the academic interventions that we're providing, but we partner with district teachers to make sure that they're also getting instruction with a certificated teacher on campus. And so you could see some of their pictures. Just their level of involvement has been a great success over the last couple of years. And I must say that even before ELO-P, Calexico was providing a kinder program. We were leveraging LCAP funds and Title I funds, and the district really supported us. So for us, it was more expanding into TK and PK, but we love that now, as opposed to only having our kinder programs limited, now we have 2 or 3 groups of kinder at every school site. So we are very happy with that growth. And the next slide. And our high school program, our high school and continuation programs have seen a level of excitement and programming like never before. We have leveraged our funds to expand from PK to 12th grade and continuation because it's what our community needs. If you know Calexico, we are a border town, and our socioeconomic levels here our needs for our families are very high. Our unduplicated rate is very high, and we wanted to focus on what can we do to make our high school kids more successful as they venture into adulthood. And so we do provide enrichment, we provide academic support, but we also provide our own apprenticeship program. What this means is we're home growing our own after-school staff. We put them through a series of professional developments. We do job shadowing, volunteering, and at the end of the program, they get to be employed with our school district as student aides, and they help directly with the students. Of course, they don't go into our ratio, but it's always better to have 2 adults in the room than 1 when you're dealing with 25 kiddos, right? And so we are super, super proud of our cohorts. We are in our 8th year. We are looking into becoming an official registered apprenticeship program. We started with cohorts as small as 2-3 kids. Last school year, we graduated 30 students from our program. The year before, we graduated 22 students from our program. And we are super proud of the growth that we have been able to accomplish throughout the years. And just what it means for these families to have a steady income for a recently graduated high school student. But my biggest success, or our biggest success this summer, was our work with non-grads. So every school year, we have high school students that don't meet the deadline for graduation. June 7th came around, and there was a handful, maybe more, students that just didn't meet the deadline. They didn't graduate on time. And for a couple of years, we've been venturing into just supporting these students and what happens after graduation. Last school year, I think we were able to help about 10 students reach that graduation point over the summer between or after their senior year. And this year, we really pulled together with the district. We pulled together with each other, and we said, no, we need to make something happen here. So we offered a credit recovery program at our continuation high school solely in expanded learning.
Yeah.
And we had an expanded learning high school program through their summer school program. We were able to graduate 39 additional seniors this summer. 39 students whose lives are going to be forever changed because they were able to finish their high school diploma. But we went beyond that. We offered a second chance graduation. We held a graduation ceremony in the gym with board members, principals, parents, loved ones that came to see them walk across the stage. Because it wasn't enough for them to accomplish such a feat, it was important for us to celebrate them. And at the end of the summer, those kids were ecstatic to, yes, it wasn't the big graduation with the fireworks, but it was their graduation and it was their lives that are changed. So what I can tell you about our program is that we are reinvesting in our programs by reinvesting in our youth, by reinvesting in our staff members, and by building quality programs by building the future educators in our community. We're super thankful to have the expanded learning opportunities monies, but we're super thankful that our district really invests and really trusts us in braiding fundings and being able to accomplish the types of programs that we have. And so we love what we do and we can't wait to keep expanding what we're offering. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Esmeralda. I told y'all we were in for a treat today, and I'm hoping that you are taking all these notes down, all these ideas. What a wonderful way to kind of wrap up our presentations with bringing it back to the students and celebrating them and building our workforce to continue to develop high quality programs and meet the growing needs of a variety of communities throughout our state. So thank you all for sharing. We're ahead of schedule. And so that means we have a few minutes to ask one final question to I'm going to leave this slide up here just for a moment to shout out our system of support for expanded learning. But we're bringing up all of our speakers again. So we're keeping Esmeralda up. We have Nicole and Celia here. And I just want to ask you all one last question. And if you can give us your best off the cuff thinking in response to this question. And so all of your programs you all spoke on, right? Like making these shifts with using your existing ACEs, or whether it be ACEs, 21st Century, or having the ESSER funding, or having our 21st Century Assets programs, right? Having that foundation of one of those types of expanded learning programs, and then it evolving, and then y'all making some really strong shifts to now, how can we rebrand or redevelop our programs now that we have the ELO-P funding, and what those opportunities might look like for your community. So with the additional funding, what was one thing, and you all talked about many things, but if you could just really think about one thing that helped you shift how people thought, that allowed you to expand and deepen your work. So one thing that I think, right, like Nicole, I heard you talk about the compass being the expanded learning quality standards, right? And so if there's one thing that you can think of that really helps shift the mindset, right? And kind of go along with now this new way of offering expanded learning with the addition of ELOP funds, what's one thing that you have to offer? One thing that comes to mind. Feel free, feel free to unmute whoever wants to tackle that first.
I don't know if this will exactly, like, I was just like, okay, one thing like off the cuff in my brain. So just elevate. So one thing that comes to mind in terms of all of this work is that the opportunity to elevate everything that we're doing. And getting buy-in from folks about like what this amazing thing could look like and all of the endless possibilities we have because of being able to braid all of this funding, having a bigger pot to do more for our kids. So elevate would be my word that I'm standing on, to try to answer that question.
I think for me, it would be dream big. I mean, whatever you thought you couldn't do, dream big. Like the best looking, expanded learning program that you can offer, aim for that. If you can, reach for the stars, why not?
For me, it would be collaborate and lean in. So I have been in expanded learning for a while, but I never stopped learning. I never stopped asking questions. And with this new funding came about, there was so many unanswered questions. There was so many like, what do we do? How do we do it? And I remember sitting in a meeting and Michael Funk saying, fail forward and ask questions and ask for clarification. And so I kind of took that, and when when my team at the district office saw how much I was doing and how much I was learning about all the different funding sources and the restrictions and the not restrictions and how we can push forward, I became their expert. And so now they come to me to ask questions, and even the superintendent. And so I think just leaning in on people and other programs, like, someone said earlier, it's not about stealing, it's just about what you have available and how do you use it and how do you learn from each other. I think it was that leaning in on other people and collaborating.
Awesome. Thank you. And if you all participated, our workshop attendees here, if you remember our spotlight presenter on day one, when we talked about policy to practice, they mentioned having a list and dreaming big and using that list, like what are possibilities, right? And so kind of aligning with Celia, what you had mentioned about, reach for the stars and how to elevate your leadership and expertise to be that advocate for your program and the potential offerings that your district can or program can offer. So one final thank you to Esmeralda, Nicole, and Celia. Thank you again for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us and the really cool way of using the analogies to help break down how folks can braid those funding sources. And thank you, Celia, for thank you all. This has been so awesome, and we're hoping now we can move forward with the next few slides to kind of close up our workshop, and then we'll open up breakout rooms, and so you can dive a little deeper. And if you have questions, if our participants have questions for our presenters, you'll be able to connect in a breakout room with them. So thank you again, team. Wonderful presentation. So taking it back to the screen here, we have our system of support for expanded learning. We make space to elevate our SSEL team here, and lift that we are a strong support system for all of our program practitioners and whatnot throughout the state. And so please stay connected. You can use the bit.ly or scan the QR code here. And I'm just going to go over a few reminders as we close and open up breakouts. So we are excited next Wednesday, September 25th. If you have the opportunity, please join us to chat and learn about the power of expanded learning to support substance use interventions, health, mental health, and thriving families. And so this is a virtual workshop that the California After School Network will be facilitating in partnership with California Youth Opioid Response. And so you can scan the QR code here, or you can access the bit.ly. We also have it linked in our resource guide that was floating around in the chat today. So hopefully you're able to access other resources linked in that document as well. And then save the date, right? We talked a lot about celebrating our programs, and this is another way to celebrate programs, not just here in California, but this is a national day to really celebrate and acknowledge and lift all of our expanded learning programs, out of school time programs throughout the country, throughout the nation. And so Thursday, October 24th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., in partnership with California Department of Ed and the System of Support for Expanded Learning, we will be facilitating California's Expanded Learning Leadership Awards. So you don't want to miss it. It's a great way to celebrate all of the amazing work our programs do throughout the state. And so turn those lights on after school for 2024 Lights On After School. So you want to mark your calendar, save that date, and join us. And then also on day one of our academy, we provided from policy to practice, and it was really elevating how compliance and quality can be braided, right? And so we talked a lot about trailer bills and ELO-P, Ed code and FAQs and policy updates and whatnot. And there was a slide that had information about an expenditure report, a very important expenditure report that is due October 31st. So we didn't want to miss out on the opportunity to remind folks that this deadline is approaching. We'll have this linked in our resource doc as well. We can drop a link in the chat that will go over, right, like what the information that is needed in order to complete or meet this deadline. So again, it's for fiscal year 21 and 22 and fiscal year 22 and 23, where LEAs, local educational agencies, will be required to submit an expenditure report to the California Department of Education after the September 30th expenditure deadline. So that report is due October 31st, and you can see the ed code here in the slide if you would like more information. So mark your calendars for that and get that in. And also, Site Coordinator Symposium is coming up next February 2025. So we hope you can join us in Sacramento. We'll be in person on February 7th and 8th, and we'll offer the virtual Site Coordinator Symposium on February 5th. And so general registration is open, and you'll find resources to that also in our resource doc. And so we hope you can join us. And lastly, I know it was lifted a lot, right? Our programs really live and breathe that CQI culture, and so do our convenings and different events that we offer. And so we value your feedback. We take your feedback. The field spotlights is basically a result of everyone's feedback, right? You all wanted to hear promising practices, and we were able to implement that this year. And so we really do take everyone's feedback and figure out how we can continue to improve our capacity building opportunities. So scan the QR code or access it using the bit.ly, and you can provide us your feedback on today's workshop.